Hi everybody, just wanted to come on here really quick. I am kid free at the moment, which is not something that happens all that often. I just kind of wanted to take a minute to talk about Scott and his journey and kind of just a few things, pieces of advice I wish I could have gotten from somebody else when this whole process started. If you're child is anything like mine and has speech delays or anything like that, one of the things that I definitely heard over and over again was, he'll talk when he's ready, or Einstein didn't talk until he was like 8 or whatever, or he'll talk when he has something important to say. And that was probably the most frustrating thing for me to hear, just from the fact that my son isn't your cousin or your friend of a friend whose kid didn't talk until they were 3. And it was very stressful to compare my son to other kids. And while it gave me some hope that he would talk, it was just very hurtful for me. And I'm sorry, I'm already getting upset. It was hurtful for me to compare him to these other kids and say, why isn't he talking? What am I doing wrong? What could I have done differently? And I think that I advocated for him in the best way that I could, and we just need to sorry, truck just went by. We just need to remember that an opinion is just that, and it's an opinion. I took Scott to several different places to be tested for a few different things, but one of the things that Scott was diagnosed with was ADHD, and that was at 3 years old. That kind of struck me, and while he does have hyperactive tendencies, I think a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that he is a stimulation seeking missile. He doesn't have a lot of things that hold his attention for very long because he's on to the next thing, wondering what's going on. And I don't understand what's going on here, so I'm going to move on to the next thing. And they wanted me to put him on medication at 3 years old. Scott had limited, no vocabulary whatsoever, and they wanted me to put him on a medication twice a day. I was absolutely against it. I could not imagine giving a 3-year-old medication twice a day for God only knows how long, especially with the thought that he would be unable to tell me how that medication was affecting him. It's just, I'm sure some parents are not against that. It's just, take it with a grain of salt. I still don't think that Scott has ADHD. It is not something that he has been diagnosed with by a second doctor. It was just the one that we took him to that felt that that was something that he had. But I really think it's important to take that and just observe what qualities that he possesses that makes people think that that is something that affects him. Scott has seen so many doctors over the years, and I can tell you that one of the things that he became very good at, as far as when they were testing him for his understanding of certain things, such as language, they'd show him a group of pictures, maybe 5 or 6, and they'd ask him to point to certain objects. So it could be like different animals, and they'd be like, point to the dog or point to the cat or what have you. And Scott kind of became immune to those type of testings, and he would read body language. He would point to something and then look at you to see if you gave anything away as to whether or not that was the right answer. He'd change his mind if he felt like it was the wrong answer. So things to be cautious about. Some of these tests that they do with your kiddos are things that they have certain reactions to just out of routine. Like there are certain things that Scott didn't know how to do and didn't know how to answer because it wasn't something that was a part of his daily life, such as like pretend play with a doll and feeding it and things like that. I mean, that's nothing he's ever been exposed to. I mean, he could probably pass that test now, but when this all started, when we started going down this path to, potentially there being something wrong and needing to figure out that was, Scott was only 2 years old. So he just turned 5. He was not potty trained until about the last year. Scott tends to have a high pain tolerance. There's a story I can tell you about that at another time. He is very emotional. Like when he feels things with all of him. He's just super passionate. He's a very, very sweet little boy. I can't speak highly enough about how awesome he is. But I'm going to continue to try to update this channel and just basically what's going on with Scott, because I feel like it's really important for other parents out there to know that you're not alone. I felt very alone and very confused. And, when you have doctors trying to figure out why your child has certain issues and not others, and then they start throwing around genetic defects such as P10 and Fragile X and abnormalities in their chromosomes. Those are all terrifying things, and I felt extremely isolated every single time I heard one of those things, and I don't want anybody else to go through that with thinking that they're alone. You're not alone. I'm still learning that I'm not alone. Every day I find somebody who not only understands what I'm going through but cares, and definitely feel free to reach out to me if there's anything that you have questions about, if your kiddo's going through something similar. I'm really hoping to update this maybe once a week with the new words that Scott has learned, and maybe something that we learn together, or new ways that we've learned to understand each other. So definitely keep an eye out for that. If you have any specific requests for any questions, or maybe I missed something, definitely let me know. In the meantime, we will talk to you soon. Hope you're all good out there.